Well, I will bore you for a couple of minutes because what I want to say is come lead up to what Geoff was all about. I started shooting way back in the 1970s. Some of you will know me, you'll know some of my achievements, but one of those good things about what I had way back at that time was I had a good mentor, a fellow by the name of Jim Sweet. Some of you would know who Jim Sweet is. And I spent a lot of time with Jim. That's because he was the first coach of the Australian Army Rifle team. And that was in Sydney where we competed. And he stuck with me and I stuck with him. He was an OAM, he was an optometrist, Queen's Prize winner, wrote the book on competitive rifle shooting. He's the bloke who manufactured sweet oil, sweet solvent, all that sort of stuff. So from then, what happened then was 1982, I won the Queen's Prize here. It was only after a few years of Jim's mentoring, and that became very, very important to me. And then someone said, oh, that could be an accident, let's see you do it again. So a few months later I went down to Sydney and did it again. So I really base my success, my early success, on Jim Sweet's mentoring. Okay, that was very, very important to me. And that carried on then. I won the Army Queen's Medal in 85, the Champion Shot Medal in 88, and that meant that I was sort of paving the way for something really good in the future. Come 1993, we did the Commonwealth Games eliminations here in Brisbane, and Geoff and I were the ones that come out on top in the eliminations. So in '94 we went away to Canada, and we had a really good time over there. Actually, we went over in May to do a prize meeting and find out all about it, and then in August we went over and we dedicated ourselves to making a really good result. Because without that, without some sort of dedication, you weren't going to get the result. Three little things that really count as far as I'm concerned, and I've touched on Jim Sweet, is equipment. Very, very important, the tools you do it with. And I like to put it this way, that you won't win the Bathurst 1000 if you're driving an FJ Holden. Maybe once you would, but you won't now. So back in the days when we had Omarks with 26-inch barrels and they worked well, that was good. You've got to have good gear, otherwise you're just not going to be in the race. You just can't win, no matter how good you are. So that's the first thing. The second thing is commitment. Coming up to the Commonwealth Games, Geoff and I got together on several occasions. We practiced. Even at the games venue, we practiced. We didn't go socialising with the outings, we practiced. That was very, very important to us again. So commitment, and commitment is something you've got to have all the way through. I was committed from the time I started rifle shooting and Jim Sweet got hold of me. And then along the way I formed the Army Rifle Association. I started ASAM, which is the Australian Army Skill at Arms meeting. That's still going, I believe, after 35 years. And all those sorts of things. I was so committed to the shooting that I learned everything that I could. So that's equipment, commitment, and the last one is knowledge. A lot of shooters go through their whole shooting career and never win anything because they don't have the knowledge to back it all up. They have opinions, they ask their mates, they go around and they say, oh, what do you think about this? Or what about that? And they say, oh, well, I reckon it's so-and-so, you know? And that's only an opinion. You've got to base your knowledge from someone who's an expert, and that's just exactly what this is all about today. The wind reading that Geoff is going to pass on to you today is going to be really valuable. I will, before I hand over, just mention one little thing about the Commonwealth Games. In the pairs match, which is where we won the gold medal, we analysed everything, and that's another thing too, you should record everything and analyse it. We analysed everything every night, and it became very obvious very quickly that Geoff was onto the wind better than what I was. The normal way of operating is that one would shoot, the other one would coach, and then you swap over and do it again. So we decided that Geoff would shoot, he'd operate his own sight, he'd read the wind, and all I'd do was look and say, tell him if I thought there was a change on. And then straight away after that, he'd jump across, I was ready, he'd start wind reading and put it on my sight. And would you believe that resulted in an absolutely unbelievable score of 299 out of 300. at that time was really, really good. Possibles at 3, 5, 6, 9, including 75, 13 and 900, and we just missed 1 at 1,000, and that was just an incredible shoot. But that's, so from that time on, I've had a lot of respect for Geoff's wind reading ability and also his technical knowledge. His technical knowledge is beyond reproach. So anything that you want to know, ask him while he's here, because, you know, once he runs away, you've missed your opportunity to talk face to face. Okay? With that,
Thank you.
Geoffrey Grenfell.
During the course, there'll be certain times when we'll sort of go into technical areas which sort of directly do impact on your wind reading, and we'll start on a couple of them things shortly, and we'll move through to actually a system so that youth people can actually have the tools and the mindset to actually read wind, other than sort of look down a rifle range where you are, or at home, or which one, wherever you're competing or practicing, and just be really oblivious to what's going on, but actually give you some actual rules and a system that you can actually read the wind and then go away with that system, and you'll just improve and improve and improve as we get into it and explain to you. I'm just going to put something up on the board here first, where we've got F-class shooters here and fullbore. A lot of F-class. Put our hand to F-class. Yeah, so quite a number. So we're going. This is not going to be directly related just to fullbore, but the program will actually incorporate both disciplines. So in doing that, what we're going to do is we're going to sort of derive all our wind reading to the 6 or the V ball. Okay. So we kind of call that, we'll just say, for instance, this is an example, that's a 900 yard 6 or a V ball. And from outside of that, your target gets broader and broader and broader, and the capabilities of each one of you at the moment in your self-belief is to where you can read the wind as a sighter, or when you have to make that decision, because obviously you know there's a change, and you've got to sort of reel at the moment, how good are you? You know, are you good enough to read, to hit the 6 all the time? Or in here after there you've got your bullseye, and down here you've got your 4, and your 3, and so on. So just in your own wisdom, at home, and just a little exercise you do yourself, just draw yourself up a little thing like that for future after this course, and sort of put yourself down and say, right, okay, look, overall, I think I can sort of, you know, I can read the wind generally here, you know. But that's not good enough, is it? And that's why you're all here. We want to be able to read the wind within here. And that's the most important thing, that without dropping a point. So if I just said to Sean, at the moment, if you just thought about being there on the range, on the Belmont range, and wings up, your confidence when you put that sighter on, where do you think your ability is for your shot? Do you normally, so you've got to think to yourself, do you normally have to wind on your spotter, or you're generally on the mark? You know, they're the things. Like if you're, you know, and we're not going to say 300. We could all start generally in the 6 or the V at 300 here. But it's all about, we know, as we get back, the tensions get higher and the stakes are harder and the wind's stronger, and that's where the ability needs to be a bit more intense and precise. So where do you think you'd land one?
I'd like to think I'm higher.
You'd like to think, but I mean, this is all about honesty.
In reality, probably the middle of the track, I'd say.
So whereabouts?
Oh.
In the V, in the bull?
Oh, in the bull?
In the bull, so somewhere in this area, okay? Alright, so during the competition, as you know, you're shooting away and you have to take these chances at times, and you have to call the decision. You've got to move. You can't wait all the time. People talk about shooting in brackets, and that's all good. You know, you think this is my win bracket. Even in F class or full board, you try and do your bracket. People even bracket and they with their dots and things, you know, and they put them all together and they have their wind, you know, half to 1.5, left to right, and they say, oh, that was, you know, they graph it. They say, oh, that was my bracket. But every one of those brackets is taken after the shot's been done, isn't it? You know, it's not for the shot you're doing. So it's not going to tell you that I'm in my bracket, I'm shooting my bracket tells me I'm here, and they're not even looking down the range. They're just looking at a bit of paper in front of them, right? And that's what people do, you know. Some people are very good at it, and but it's always after the fact. You really haven't made a decision on that shot. You've made a decision on a graph, what's forming. So it's always after the shot. So, having said that, to do this, so that we want to stay, it's all about focusing to stay in the area where we're not going to lose any points. Fullbore's got a bit more latitude, we've got the bullseye, so that's even better, you know. So Sean, he's that good, he's not going to drop any points. Right? Every time he makes a move, he's good enough to hit a bullseye. He just told us. Right? Okay. So, see what I mean? You're going to have a rethink. You know? So, you got to be, that's the sort of thing you do. So maybe you might think, yeah, average, a bit further down, you know, sort of thing, because you do drop points. Okay? So, when we get into the course, we're going to, as I say, we're going to work through a system that allows you to at least go away and every time you work at it to calculate the range, okay? A lot of people get away with top shooters and they can't read wind, but they have a knack of being able to take a snapshot of what they're looking at, and they're prepared to wait and wait and wait and wait and wait, sort of thing, you know, for the shot again. And they hold tight groups. They do lose the odd shot, but they generally perform very highly, you know, and that is just because they're able to have these images, you know, and not everyone can do that. People say to me, oh, how do you read that crap, you know? And the question was right about reading it, you know, but in hindsight, they look at the range, they just get confused, because every section of the range can be doing something different, and that's what we're going to learn today, so that we can actually add or subtract the range and understand why these things happen, all right? So a really good golfer, how he improves, it's not always by just going out to practice. In his mind, he visualises, you know, he visualises. And he doesn't necessarily visualise himself, what we might be visualising the flags, but he might be visualising Tiger Woods, his stroke. So that, and this is the ones who are very good at their sport, are able to do. So he'll try and emulate his stroke. And if that doesn't work for him, he picks another golfer whose stance is a little bit different physique, but it works for him. So that's how they actually improve. What relation's got to do with shooting? Golf? Nothing, other than to be able to just think about your visual effects, because they're the things that being able to be a good wind reader all comes back to what you're taking on board and seeing. So just off that, so that's again that little thing, you can draw something up at home, and just even if you come home from the range each day, think about where your sights will go, and you win big wind changes and get a bit of an average how good you are, and then just look over the next couple of months if you go on with this system how you improve. You'll be surprised. Now, again, you know, we've got our sticks or our bullseye for our full bore people. And that's what we want to stay in. Now, Bert mentioned before about technical stuff, technical equipment, and that's all pretty important as well. Because without the proper technical approach and all that sort, it's not going to happen either. So most people who are here today, I'd say everybody, are marksmen. And marksmen always have a fair base knowledge of ballistics or technical things about their gear and the discipline of shooting that they're doing. Okay? So your F-class people, a lot of times now there seems to be, because you never come to the rank and file to learn how to read them, and there's this common thing now to get your shots down there as quick as you can, and then for the longs you have a 7mm SARM so that you know the wind is least affected and you get away with it that way. So the technical side of things, so that this can happen with your wind reading to stay in these scoring areas where you want to be. We've got two sort of rifles now. We've got your F, bit of class because they both start with F, and your target rifle. Okay, so to be able for you to work with your technical equipment, you both have to be in sync. Right? No good having a piece of crap there that 900 yards is already shooting 2.5 minutes to the right. Okay, because you're just never going to learn nothing. Okay, so when your rifle is set up, if you leave that up to your armourer or if you do it yourself, scoping's always, you know, they like to have their crosshair vertical, and that must be vertical to the base of the rifle. So they've had their rifle, say forth like this. You know, and they cut out for their barrel, they've got their barrel in here. All this is square when they're shooting, and their scope up here, they want that square. Okay? So they think that rifle's going to shoot directly up the line. That's dangerous. Everyone thinks like that? Yeah. So this got to track straight. The top of your action, which has got your scope rail on it, must be level. If it's not, this scope goes to one side of your bore, and then therefore when you wind up, when that crosshair goes up on an angle, you're going to be shooting one way, left or right. Okay? And they're already you've got error in your long range performance. Okay? So with the F class, to fix those sort of problems, because all this is related to be able to stay in the 6, right? You need to check your rifle, what we call up the line. That's always been something that's come through the full-bore ranks, so that a team can be synchronised, but not just the team, but you can be synchronised with your wind reading. Because otherwise things get very, very frustrating. Okay, everyone understands that? So when you so in F class, to put your gun up the line, it's best to go to 100 yards. If you've got 100 yards where you can set up, and you've got your rifle tracking square, the top of your scope rail is level. You've got a bubble on it so you know that the scope is being set up square. Shoot the rifle up the line with 100 yards, see where your bullets go in accordance to the line. So you start down here where your normal 300 yard setting, you're in the middle of the line. When the time you get to 1,000 yards, it's over here, right? We've got about 2.5 minutes of error. All right. If you can't fix that up with your squaring, the F class people now have taken on board the full bore correct method, and that is another knob that goes onto your wind arm. So you have your rifle truly zeroed at 300. As you go up, as your error comes into the, and also you've got to remember the bullet does gyro to the right. Okay, that's just a natural spin. We've got clockwise bores in the guns. The bullet will always want to, over a long distance, gyro to the right of your target. So some people counteract that with a little bit of left drift, they put on first, and they call that their zero. That's all good. But you must really know what your rifle's doing for long range shooting. Everyone understand that? Yeah. So if your bullet's going across to the right hand side of the line at 100 yards, you can be assured that when you get to 1,000, it's going to gyro a bit further again than what you're doing here. So you really want your gun shooting there, or in the line, or just slightly left of the line with just a couple of paper thicknesses between the line and the edge of your bullet. And that way you'll have a true zero, what we call a true zero. I spoke about those knobs they put on their guns now, Australian team, F-class Australian team. I know the Victorian state team have got them. They're being made for march scopes, your night force scopes like that now. They've got knobs, so when they get to 600 yards, if they're shooting 8, 9, 1,000 yards with, they get to know by their testing how much it is. They put the correction on the scope, and they put this knob goes on, fixes on there, and put the thing to zero. And it has all the lettering around it. So you've got a false knob on there, which has got all your readings around it. They're available now, they're getting them made and that. So that way you can go away and you can be sure you've got a true zero at every range if you put the work in, okay? Full bore, same thing. You've got your barrel, foresight thing. You might have some sort of sight that comes up on the side here. It's the same thing. Your line through the centre to the centre of your bore. If the foresight is laying one way or laying the other, it is going to, this is a ladder sight by the way, so it's got all little teeth down here, so, and numbers. So each range you come down a little bit more. Generally they're 5 or 6 minutes a notch. They'll come down each time, and by coming down, the purpose was these originally was to keep your head in the same position than having the other conventional sight where you've got, the piece of bar between them that's just fixed. You bring your back side up and your head gets going up higher and higher and higher, and all of a sudden you become a little bit uncomfortable. So all the new elaborate stuff was to bring the front sight, would do all the major settings. So for example, 300 yards to 900 yards might be 26 minutes. So you'd go 4 notches is 24 and only up 2 at the back. So your head you don't realise there's any change. But if you didn't have an adjustable foresight, your back sight would be going up 26 minutes. So all of a sudden you're getting higher, 1,000 you're higher again. So it's all positional thing. Okay, now with the full bore thing, they have levels. When they come down, it's the same thing. I'll just exaggerate this on an angle, right? So as this comes down, like so, you can see the barrel, they're becoming closer together. As this comes up, this is square, this angle changes so that what happens, you can actually, you're moving your barrel to the left if it's on a slight angle. So normally with the full bore, you have the front tunnel a little bit looking down your barrel, a little bit to your left. So as this comes down, it's bringing your barrel to the left. So you're keeping a true zero as you go up the line. Okay? So if that can be done with your sights, that's all good. That's what I've done with mine, so I don't have to worry about dialing in a correction every time I read the wind. If it's 1,000 yards zero, I can put my rear sight on 1,000 yards and I'm smack in there. If I know my sight does drift to the right, well, I need to put that minute or minute and a half, whatever correction I need, for my true zero. Everyone understands that? So it's important for your rifles that you know your rifles are tracking right for long ranges. Otherwise, your wind reading is going to be out by whatever error is in your own apparatus, and you might not even know that. Okay, so you know that, and then you know where your error is. So that's something we need to just cover to know for the course. So when you start practicing, that's an exercise you've got to go and do and make sure your equipment's going to conform. Okay. The system, we're just going to turn this on now. Before we go on this, anyone got any questions about that little technical spill we just did? Everyone's pretty clear on it?
Yeah, just about the extra knob you were talking about
Yes.
putting on. You're saying Night Force already are doing
Night Force aren't doing it and March aren't doing it. It's aftermarket. It's something that the people involved with the teams have approached the manufacturers to have them made. I know Albert Van Wyck, who is on the NRA board and is Victorian
it? Does he
councillor.
do it? Does
He's had them arranged.
He's had them around.
He's had them arranged for the shooters down in Victoria, so you can make those contacts. Albert Van Wyck, that's his name. He's the only one I know in my area. I believe it has been done up somewhere else too by previous teams. I don't know who was involved in doing it. Yeah.
We might get Sean to make some inquiries and get a message out to everyone if we
Yeah, that's something that Sean can do and help you guys up here. Yeah. I know as the scope of the scope is as the different scopes they've got for sale, they've all got different size knobs and that, so you might even need Sean to get one of the knobs sized and that, so they can do them for the opters and everything else that they're doing. Okay?
Just want to get this right, the only reason you need that is if in fact your scope in your rifle is not tracking vertically. If it's tracking vertically, you don't need it at all, do you?
If it's tracking vertically, if you can, this is the thing. You can be proven like here. We could set your gun up absolutely square, have a line out, and be tracking up vertical. But how do you know that crosshair is directly vertical in the middle of your bore, your barrel, at the exit of your barrel? Right? All barrels do have a little bit of what they call ramp, drift in the barrels. They're never perfectly struck, never perfectly. They're pretty close, like your pubic eye can't pick them up mostly, but the end of the barrel could be there, could be up and down sort of thing, but left or right, a little bit. You would never know. So once you zero it, right, you've zeroed it, but that your crosshair is on one side of your bore or your barrel, and then, if you know what I mean. So you've zeroed the crosshair to the ball, right? So after saying that, you've got that spin drift, and you can do all the tests you like, but unless you actually put it up the line, shooting it, to prove where your gun's printing, you can be surprised just how far that they are out, but some people I've got a really good system at home from my back porch, under the pergola. I've got an area where I set the F-class guns up, and on one of my windows on the bars in the workshop, when I had the bars put on, I said I made sure this bloke had on absolutely perfect, because I wanted to use it for a lineup, and I think I only pulled it out 3 times before I was happy, So, and that's how I do it. And I've found once you get on the range, I haven't really had to make any adjustments, But some other people, some reason, just can't seem to say you've got to put the correction in,